Shabbat Shalom, family. Shabbat Shalom. I had an incident I have to tell you about this morning. I actually had to go to the doctor's. Um, when I got up, I went into my bathroom and I fell. I fell down. I never, I'm not one of these people that fall down. So I was like, oh my goodness, what the hell caused that? So I ended up calling my doctor and they told me to come right in. So I did. I have COVID, y'all. And I think I know where I got it from. Now, the funny part is I'm not showing no symptoms. I have no fever. I have no headache, no sore throat, no runny nose. But when she did my test, when my doctor did my test, it came back positive. So she was like, that was probably the only thing indicating to you that something was wrong. So anyway, I'm home, I'm isolated, and she gave me medicine because really the only thing that hurt is my knee. When I fell down, I fell on my left knee and it hurts. So she gave me something for the pain and just told me the usual stuff, isolate yourself for a while and all that. I think I know where I got it from, y'all. When I took orders to the UPS store and I went over to the post office and the woman that was helping me, she was, she had the sniffles, she was sniffing and she was like, oh no, I just got a little summer cold. No, that was no summer cold. She had COVID. And that's where I got it from. One of my orders was from a person with a PO box, and unfortunately, UPS will not deliver to a PO box. So whenever I get those orders, I have to go over to the post office. So that's what I did. I went over there and I noticed the woman that was helping me was congested. And I believe that's where I got it from. So anyway, y'all, I'm okay. I'm resting. Um, Other than my knee, I feel okay. I do. And don't worry about anybody that placed orders. I have help with my orders. So the orders will go out on time. It's just that I won't be doing it. My son, he's going to drop the orders off at the UPS store or the post office, just in the event somebody got a PO box. So I I would never have known I had it unless I fell in my bathroom this morning. I guess that was my body letting me know something was wrong. So I'm okay, y'all. I don't want anybody to be concerned. I am going to take care of myself. Um, I mean, I got an ice pack on my knee, and she gave me 800 milligrams of the ibuprofen. So and I actually it don't hurt as much as it did a little earlier. It actually feels better, but I'm gonna try to stay off my feet as much as I can and just get a lot of bed rest today. So I hope you're all doing well. I'm gonna play a little music. I have to get one of the videos up that I'm gonna play for you. So I just need time to do that and get all of that together. And then when I come back after the music, we can get started. This one is called Yah's People. All right, let me just share my screen here. All right. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. I've been walking through this life, G, searching for a higher life. In the noise in the crowd, trying to hear what feels right. Then I heard a gentle call, like the wind through the trees,
saying, child, you belong, come and walk with me. And I know I'm not alone now. Every step you're carrying me. Yes, people, we gon' rise with love in our hearts and light in our eyes. No weapon, no storm, no night can dim what's eternal inside. Yeah. See, the world can test your faith, yeah, make you feel out of place, but his arms, they still reach, full of mercy and grace. So I'll sing, I'll testify, about the truth in his name. Every trial I faced, I came out the same. And I know I'm not alone now. Every step you're carrying me. Yes, people, we gon' rise with love in our hearts and light in our eyes. No weapon, no storm, no night can dim what's eternal inside. Yeah, we are chosen, we are free, we are rooted like the trees. In his word we stand tall, through it all, through it all. Yes, people, we gon' rise with love in our hearts and light in our eyes. No weapon, no storm, no night can dim what's eternal inside. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll have that song available after we're done. Okay. I'm okay. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm not going to ignore um, my health. I definitely am not going to do that. I'm also doing a garden, so my son already told me he'll go out and water it and take care of it until I get back on my feet. So, um, so yeah. In fact, I drunk a lot of water. So I'm going to keep myself hydrated. I'll be fine, y'all. I'll be fine. So, Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen, recently called for another census. Now, we know the census is done once every 10 years. The last one that was done was in 2020. Well, he wants it done again because the last time it was done, the illegals were counted into the census. He wants it done over without the illegals counted in the census. This is kind of good, y'all, because we have never gotten a correct number forever for Caucasians, because the entire time they have been padding up the numbers, adding in Latinos, adding in even some Asians, some Arabs, East Indians, all have been counted as white up in here, Mexicans, and we never got a true number on them, or even a number without them padding it all up. Well, this time around, Donald Trump wants the numbers of Americans only. So, you know what? I think it's going to reveal things they probably don't want revealed. But what it will also do, the Democrats in this country, because they were the ones that wanted these illegals counted into the census, the Democrats are about to lose seats all around this country. Probably the hardest hit is going to be California. I, for one, and I said this before, many of you know, if you weren't born here or your parents didn't um they weren't born and raised here, I don't think you should be in Congress. I don't believe you should be in the Senate. You should not be eligible for political office. But because they have allowed this, we got all of these immigrants sitting, especially in the Congressional Black Caucus, and they were the ones that had these illegals up in here counted into the census. So, if anything, the Democratic Party got a lot to lose, y'all. They are, from what I understand, they are pissed that Donald Trump want this census done, and it is going to get done. This one will probably be the most accurate one they have done in this country because you're not counting now. The illegals are completely invisible, y'all. They are invisible. So that tells you right there, this is also a very spiritual thing that is going to occur in the country. So not counting them means they don't exist. Do you understand how deep this is? Not counting the illegals into the census, what that means on a spiritual level is they don't exist. You see, that is really deep. So I did the article in advance, because of everything that happened. And then I got some videos from TikTok of people reacting to this. And some people are real happy about this because it's never been done before where illegals were not counted. See, that's the only way Latinos could look big in this country. Now, when they do it without the illegals, Latinos are not going to look big in this country anymore. They're not going to look big in this country at all. And then you have your Caucasians that padded up the numbers. They're not going to look so big in this country anymore, y'all. This is going to be huge as far as the population itself is concerned. So, wow. Well, this is deep what Donald Trump is going to have done. All right, so let me share my screen. I want you to listen to the article and then we'll get into the videos. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Oh, yeah, this is a game changer right here, for real. All right, let's get started. Trump orders new U.S. Census, excluding undocumented immigrants. What's happening? President Donald Trump announced plans to conduct a new U.S. Census outside the standard 10-year cycle, designed to exclude individuals living in the country without legal status. The president made the announcement on his social media platform, Truth Social, describing it as an effort to deliver a highly accurate population count that would reflect only U.S. citizens. He indicated the data would be used to align with voter information from the 2024 presidential election. Why its controversial legal and constitutional hurdles. The U.S. Constitution's 14th Amendment requires that all residents, regardless of citizenship status, be counted for purposes of congressional apportionment. Mid-decade censuses are rare and typically conducted only for updating certain federal data, not for redrawing political boundaries or altering congressional representation. Trump previously attempted to add a citizenship question to the 2020 census, but the Supreme Court blocked the move, ruling it lacked adequate justification under federal law. Political ramifications. Removing undocumented immigrants from the count could alter the distribution of congressional seats and Electoral College votes, potentially shifting political power from larger Democratic-leaning states, such as California, New York, and Illinois, towards smaller, more Republican-leaning states. Critics, including civil rights groups, call the proposal a direct attempt to reshape the electorate by redefining representation to favor GOP strongholds. Okay, so y'all, what it means is the blue states are actually going to get weaker and the red states are going to actually become stronger in the country. And like I said, all this chattering over the years of, oh, the Latinos are outnumbering everybody. Not anymore, because the vast majority of the Latinos in this country were illegal. All right. It's a much smaller amount of them that are legal citizens. The vast majority are illegal. So when this is done, they are no longer going to be looking like a big, what they call minority group. They're not going to be looking like that, y'all. It's going to really go back to being us. All right. It's going to go back to being us and not them. So, like I said, this is going to be a game changer. And many people that are aware that this census is going to occur is happening. And they said the Democratic Party, they are mad as hell and they don't want this to happen at all. And it's just going to go to show you how much the Democratic Party has screwed us over all this time. They have used the immigrants to justify giving them resources because they were bigger, a bigger group than we were. So that's how they justified it. So now all of that is going away, y'all. All of that's going away. They can no longer hand our resources over to a bunch of people that didn't even pay taxes here, came across a border illegally. They can't do that. Donald Trump is shutting all that mess down. Now, I may not agree with everything Donald Trump does, but in this, I do agree with him. You got to weed these people out. They have gotten so much of our resources, it's not even funny. They literally came in here and stole our resources. And we're sitting here with nothing and they're getting everything. And that's how it was justified. Well, we got all these illegals here, so many of them. And you heard what Joe Biden, oh, it's more of them than you. You remember when Joe Biden said that? Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's about to change. All right, so I'm going to let you watch these TikTok videos here of how people are reacting to this. All right, so let me stop sharing and I'm going to share. Okay. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Give me a one. There's a lot of people that are really happy about this. The only ones that are not happy are your Democrats, but a lot of people outside of the Democrats in Congress, in the Senate, a lot of people are feeling this is a good thing. Okay, y'all, let me go ahead and we will get started.
President Trump is redoing the census before the 2026 midterms to remove all illegal immigrants from being counted. Job well done, President Trump. Have a good one.
Good morning, players. So just another day of Frumping Up acting like the damn U.S. Constitution was written on a dry erase board and he can just add and subtract whenever he feels like it. So this morning, Frumping Up issued a post on Devil is a Lie Social decreeing and declaring that he has instructed his Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures, and importantly, using the results of the information gained from the presidential election 2024. People are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. And of course, thank you for your attention to this matter. Oh, Lord. Now, it's very important to note that if this is done, this is a complete violation of the U.S. Constitution. The U.S. Constitution mandates a census or population count every 10 years in Article 1, Section 2. The census is used primarily to determine the number of representatives each state gets in the House of Representatives. The Constitution specifies that this count should be of all persons residing in the United States, not just citizens. This is in the Constitution. So again, he's acting like the Constitution was written on a dry erase board, and he can just add and subtract and dibble and dabble and do any and everything that he wants to do because he is the president of the United States. And that is not how our country works. Frumpy dumpy MAGA Republicans know that their policies are so bad that they're losing the bare bones of their base. Frumpy Dump's approval rating is in the toilet. It's the lowest approval rating of any United States president. And these MAGA Republicans that have been lockjaw on Frumpy Dump's taint know that they are losing the bare bones of their base, and they know that their seats are in question. That's why they're trying to redistrict. That is why they're trying to gerrymander. That is why you have Ron DeSantis saying, oh, as soon as he does something about the illegals being on the census, we're going to go ahead and redistrict. All of the red states are talking about it. That's what they're planning on doing. And in contrast, the blue states are talking about it too. If this is the game that you want to play, then we can play the game as well. But at the end of the day, the president of the United States should know and should follow. You swore, not on the Bible because your hand wasn't on there, to follow and defend the Constitution. And you have done everything against the Constitution since you have been president. He tried this in his first term and it didn't work. But now he has these people that are willing to do any and everything for him. And he knows they're losing their base. This is pathetic. I would just love to know, what if Barack Obama, what if President Biden, what if any of them had did this? Baby, they'll have them impeached.
So this is pretty massive news. President Trump just signed an executive order that will change everything about the next election. And Democrats are freaking out. Trump just ordered a new census that excludes illegal immigrants from the population count used to divide up the congressional seats and Electoral College votes. That means fewer seats for blue states like California, New York, and Illinois, and more seats for red states like Texas, Florida, Idaho, Montana, and all across the conservative South. We're talking a total political earthquake. Red states gain up to 14 House seats. California alone loses 4. And here's the kicker. This is all based on real 2024 election data. Trump's team is using it to make the census more accurate, more legal. The Supreme Court already ruled that partisan redistricting is fair game. Trump's using that logic for the census. Only American citizens will count towards political power. Not illegals, not tourists, not diplomats, just citizens. This totally rebalances the map. The Electoral College shifts red. Blue wall states like Michigan and Pennsylvania won't be enough to win anymore. Even if Democrats sweep all the traditional swing states, they still lose. That's how big this shift is. Democrats are already screaming about it, attacks on democracy and all the other nonsense, but they're the ones who've benefited from counting people who can't even vote. This one move hits the border issue and Democrats' power base at the same time. That's Trump at his best. Red states rise, blue states collapse. The map is being rewritten. The Republicans are finally playing to win. We're watching a total political realignment, and this executive order could lock Democrats out of power for decades. Watch what happens next, because this is just getting started. Make sure you like the video, follow for more updates, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.
Breaking news as this comes down about 6:45 a.m. Central Time on this Thursday, the 7th of August. Donald Trump with a Truth Social post with another executive order by tweet-ish thing. Here's how it reads. I have instructed the Department of Commerce to immediately begin work on a new and highly accurate census based on modern day facts and figures, and importantly, using the results from the information gained from the presidential election of 2024. People who are in our country illegally will not be counted in the census. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Now, this is literally a truth that came down moments ago. And as I was watching CNN with their glitches this morning, they popped it in there in the middle of the discussion. And so we don't really understand what this means. But from the very quick responses that some articles got to us, we're able to pull some details and get you this. This call to basically get undocumented immigrants out of the apportionment for the nation is something that's not necessarily old. In fact, there's an executive order on the books on the 21st, I think was written or signed by the president to basically work on that and get the illegals out of the census. But having this put there as a instruction for the Department of Commerce for right now, based off 2024 data, is something that's a bit of a, let's say, a push, if you will. This is going on directly what was happening in Texas and maybe what may happen in California, as Texas is trying to redraw its map and redraw its districts to get more Republicans for the midterms coming up in 18 months. We're looking at Donald Trump essentially is calling for a census right now instead of per the constitutional every 10 years. And while there are some backups on the original thought process of the census as they were growing the nation at the beginning, it turned into something that wasn't really needed all that often because it's a whole lot of work, even in these days. So this Truth Social post is essentially him leading that case for only American citizens being counted for the purpose of congressional representation. He's said that before. Now, the biggest thing is analyzing the data from 2024 because he believes it proves his mandate is win. And then, of course, he keeps saying he won everything. And it also proves that in the last count, how many people who were undocumented were basically tracked so they can basically get them out of the numbers. It would basically make our nation smaller because the actual people who are citizens would be counted versus people non-citizens. And the non-citizen count would not exist. So essentially, you would basically do his work for ICE and show people who are citizens, who are not, and I guess something like Starship Troopers, hopefully have them fight in the military to, in a war to gain citizenship or something odd like that. I don't know. He argues that counting undocumented immigrants for redistricting unfairly increases political power in states with large immigrant populations, cause a distortion of the democratic process. The problem is, if you have a large group of people who don't get counted, that means those places don't get resources for those people. You are punishing the people who live there by punishing the immigrants altogether, making it worse for everyone instead of taking care of the people that are there. It's not something that's new, unfortunately. It's not something that's even outlandish for Donald Trump. Of course, he's fighting the 14th Amendment because he wants to make sure that non-citizens don't get any rights. So people born here in the United States, which is basically how it's been negotiated, how it's been understood, don't have the rights of American citizens. This stops anchor baby type stuff, essentially. But the problem is, if you weren't an original colonist and then you were born here, that's how you're a citizen. And this 14th Amendment thing also gives me the right to be a citizen because I wasn't, or my ancestors weren't, when slavery was abolished, because we were property. You forget that thing sometimes. Now, this can be viewed as a corrective step to ensure political representation based on citizenship. It could be, and it could be seen as a part of Trump's immigration platform to bolster that up if you want to support Trump on this. The critics are basically saying it's not going to work because of the 14th Amendment. It just is there. And it also risks undercounting communities and leading to lost federal funding and misrepresentation. If you don't count all the people that are there, you don't have enough resources for there, whether they are documented or not. And no clear data is going to show that it's going to link undocumented individuals to the outcome to the election. It just isn't going to happen. Undocumented folks didn't vote, so obviously they had no say into the matter. Why this is exactly as it is, it's only a Donald Trump thing to answer. But the directive sets up another potential legal and political clash over who gets counted as American and who decides who is American. It signals Trump's continued focus on immigration and electoral influence in central issues ahead of the 2016 midterms, literally next year, and the potential for the 2020 candidacy for whoever is going to run for presidency on either side. And we still have 3 years to figure out whether Trump will figure out a loophole for that one as well. If you're not worried about the American experiment, and I can't think of any time in my lifetime where anything was just so outlandish. We always had other countries doing outlandish things to say, well, good thing we're us and we couldn't do anything that bad. I didn't live through the 60s and live through the civil rights era. I obviously didn't live through the Civil War and those type of things, as slavery was abolished pretty much around the world. And we were the last ones holding on to it because of the money. But if you can't understand why government moves at a glacier's pace, it's because the speed of government means things get slipped in that you don't expect, and they can turn things around so quickly that you can't stop it. We see Donald Trump and his agenda, the Project 2025 agenda, as many folks see it as something that's radical, something that is institutionally bad, and it's changing things for the worse at a pace that cannot be undone or not be nullified in something that's easy to do. Just being fearful of existing is what's happening right now. And if you're not a Protestant white dude from a good family, and some of the poor white dudes aren't going to get at this as well, there will be problems. There will be issues. There's things going on. If you're in a protected class, protected for a reason, you're not a Protestant white dude, you should worry. You should worry about all of these things. No one's coming to save anyone eventually. And the problem is, at some point in time, the conservative Protestant white dudes are going to be picked off as well for other things because they don't quite fall in line as well. This is bad. And for all the jokes we have about Donald Trump not being a serious person, not being a smart person, not being a person with any actual agenda, just kind of rolling back and forth, that makes it even scarier. Because if he doesn't actually have the willpower to do this stuff, it's actually some sort of puppet type things where it's just things popping up and going there. Who's actually in charge? And that guy should be even scarier, because having a person who just sort of willy-nilly does stuff because he's in charge and no one seems to want to stop him because they like the power as well is a problem. But if someone really is pulling the strings behind this thing, that's who we should really be worried about. And that's who I am worried about. A little long in this hot take, a little quick because of life going on. So we're going to get this thing published, get this thing out here, and hopefully get some comments. It's the comments on the Truth Social post, comments on the new census right now, right here. Let's do a census before the decade's over. And it's a overall commentary on how we're going, how this whole thing is turning. There are so many questions that should not be questions just because they are. And that is what I see as the problem. You let me know what you see as problems, or if you think I'm overdoing it. At least we're not talking about Sydney Sweeney today.
He just ordered a surprise census that could erase California seats. Stick with me and see how this flips Congress. August 7th, 2025. President Trump ordered Commerce to count only citizens, citing 2024 data, leaving undocumented residents off the mid-decade tally. House seats and huge federal funds ride on census math. Cutting migrants could cost California, Florida, Texas 1 seat each. Director Robert Santos resigned at the end of January after resisting political meddling, giving Trump a chance to install a loyalist before new counts. Democrats, civil rights groups, and some GOP lawyers vow lawsuits, arguing the 14th Amendment. This battle has major stakes. 2026 redistricting maps could decide congressional control.
Hey there. Smatter Chair, and thanks for the comment, but want to make sure that we have this clear. It's without illegal migrants, people that are not eligible to vote, illegal people that are here illegally. Migrants, immigrants, that's fine. You can be an immigrant and apply for citizenship, get citizenship, and have the ability to vote, and that's fine. As far as I know, nobody on the right is against immigration. We're not against immigrants. We're not anti-immigration. We're not anti-immigrants. We're anti-illegal immigrants. We want to make sure that we always make that point crystal clear so we don't give the left any more fodder. So to be crystal clear, we're 110% in favor of legal immigration. Bring on the immigrants. This country is made up of immigrants all over the place, legally. That's my opinion. We welcome yours. I am Smatterchew, and I do approve of this message. Smatterchew out.
Peace to the tribe. So Trump orders the Commerce Department to begin working on a new census excluding undocumented immigrants. Trump instructed the Commerce Department to begin working on a new census based off facts and figures. People who are in our country illegally will not be accounted for in the census going forward.
President Trump has ordered a new census that does not count illegal aliens. I'm sure there'll be litigation here, but if you stop counting people who aren't supposed to be here, well, it changes the math on congressional apportionment and redistricting. It would likely advantage the Republican Party. Here's Democratic Congresswoman Yvette Clarke of New York openly admitting why she wants more illegal immigrants to be counted in her district.
And from Brooklyn, New York, we have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants. And when I hear colleagues talk about, the doors of the inn being closed, no room in the inn, I'm saying, I need more people in my district, but just for redistricting purposes. And those members could clearly fit here.
I need more members in my district for redistricting purposes. That was a Democratic Congresswoman. Here's White House senior advisor Stephen Miller appearing on Fox News last night commenting on this.
Democrats rigged the 2020 census by including illegal aliens. Remember, they sued Donald Trump. They sued the administration. They fought tooth and nail to include illegal aliens in the census. 20 to 30 of House Democrat seats wouldn't exist but for illegal aliens. Texas is taking just a small corrective step against this ocean of fraud, this ocean of abuse by the corrupt Democrat Party, Sean.
Stephen Miller from the White House commenting on the census and redistricting and what's going on in Texas and around the country. Now, the census is handled by the U.S. Commerce Department. Watch the Democratic freakout over this today, and that'll tell you all you need to know.
Once again, these Democrats continue to show how much of a hypocrite they really are. So now they upset at Donald Trump because he want to make some changes to the U.S. Census because he feels like undocumented immigrants shouldn't be counted in the census. And I agree. These Democrats are trying to run the same trick that they ran with my ancestors 200-some years ago. Y'all remember the 3/5 compromise where they were trying to count the enslaved population so they could get more seats in the House of Representatives and get more electoral votes? Well, they're trying to do the same thing with the undocumented immigrants. And the argument that was made against that 200-some years ago was, if the enslaved population does not have voting power, how are they counted towards the population when you don't even consider them citizens? So it's the same thing now. He said undocumented immigrants. You can look this up for yourself. Undocumented immigrants do not have voting power in the United States. They can't have voting power. That's a direct violation of the Voting Rights Act of 65 that Martin Luther King worked so hard, and the rest of our ancestors, black ancestors, worked so hard to be able to get passed. So I'm just confused on what they're talking about and where's all this outrage coming from. Once again, these Democrats continue to show their party and show the United States that they're not really for the people, and they just as crooked as they claim the Republicans to be.
Here we go again with the census. Today, our president said he's ordering a brand new U.S. census, one that excludes undocumented immigrants. Why? So maggot states can redraw congressional maps before the 2026 midterms to help the maggots hold power. Here's the thing. He knows he can't win on ideas, so he's trying to win by using stupid math. If he shrinks districts in immigrant-heavy areas, usually Democratic ones, and beefs up the white, rural ones that vote red, he's winning. It's gerrymandering by subtraction. He tried the same thing in 2020, but the courts shot it down because he's not counting people. He's counting votes. And if they don't vote for him, he doesn't want them to exist on paper. That's not democracy. Let me say this clearly. You don't have to be a citizen to be a human being. And if the government starts deciding who counts based on party advantage, then none of us really count at all.
So all the worst right-wing influencers are celebrating today because Trump got on his fake social media site and said that he's directed his Commerce Department to create a new census that does not include undocumented people. This is illegal. It's unprecedented. The whole point of the census is to count every single person who's in the country, whether they are documented or not, to have a better understanding of how to allocate resources, congressional seats, etc. And so they're all celebrating because they're saying, we're not going to count anybody that is not a citizen. And before liberals start crying, what I need you guys to understand is this. The only reason why Trump and the Republicans continue to get away with this insanity, the constant, crazy, unconstitutional, illegal, unprecedented shit that they do, is because there's no opposition. There is no effective opposition. All you ever have is Democrats going, that's unconstitutional, sir. That breaks the norm, sir. I really hope that a good, upstanding Republican stands up against it. And then, of course, none of them do, and the Republicans get their way, and the Democrats don't do anything. This has literally been happening for decades, folks. The Democrats and their learned fucking helplessness, okay? Don't make me go back decades for examples like Al Gore fucking conceding an election he won. But here's my thing. I'm tired of Democrats' learned helplessness and the people that vote Democrat defending their learned helplessness. And Democratic voters, like all the people in that Jubilee with Jank, fucking defending their uselessness and fecklessness. You know what I would be doing right now if I were a leader in the Democratic Party, if I were an elected official in the Democratic Party? I would be saying, okay, cool story. You want to play this game? We're going to make it so that our new position as a party is every single person in the country that's undocumented is going to get amnesty. They're actually going to get citizenship. They're going to become American citizens. How do you like them apples, bitch? How do you like them apples? You don't want to count non-citizens in the census? Okay, cool. They're citizens now. Executive order. Oh, well, you can't do that. Oh, yeah? Watch me, bitch. Trump does shit like this all the time. Same thing with DC statehood. Trump is threatening for a federal takeover of DC. If I were the Democrats, I would be like, my new position now is that DC's a state. The second we take back power, DC's a state. You can't do that. Watch me, bitch. But do you see Democrats doing that? Do you see them doing that? Same with the redistricting fight. Texas is trying to steal a bunch of seats, and the Democrats are like, that's bad. A bunch of Texas Democrats did leave the state to protest, and I'm keeping an eye on that. I haven't talked about it yet because I think that they're probably going to capitulate, and I don't want to give them credit too soon and then have them capitulate. But I'm watching that to see how that goes. My point is, of course, all this stuff that Trump and the Republicans are doing is fucking outrageous. But what's also outrageous is that there's no effective opposition party fighting it, really fighting it. I've said it before and I'll continue to say it. The only reason why the Republicans get away with their overt, outright aggressive fascism is because there is no real effective opposition party.
They used to count Black people as only 3/5 of a person. Now, Trump wants to count immigrants as 0. Trump just announced a new U.S. Census plan where he aims to erase undocumented immigrants from it entirely. That means that millions of people who live, work, and raise families here wouldn't be counted at all. No political representation, no federal funding, no voice, which means that history is repeating itself again. 1787, the 3/5 compromise said that enslaved people only counted as 3/5 of a person. This was done so white slaveholders could hold more seats in Congress. Now in 2025, Trump wants to use that same logic to erase immigrants while benefiting from where they live without letting their voice be counted. Which, by the way, friendly reminder that all immigrants pay taxes, despite the lies that the media want you to believe. If immigrants haven't suffered enough already these last few months in the US, they could now potentially be voiceless. More than ever, we need to actually find ways to support those that actually represent us. You can go now to our website to research your ballot and compare candidates based on their stances.
The census for citizens only. President Trump is issuing a new order to his government to take a new measurement of the country and to leave undocumented immigrants out of the calculations. Is there an actual plan behind this, or was this sort of one of those Donald Trump posts that he hopes people follow along with?
I think it's the latter, Dana. It's very unclear as of now whether or not his team is going to try and move forward with this. But also, I mean, this is something we've seen before from the president himself. I remind you, back in 2020, in the lead up to that census, the president was fighting repeatedly to try and insert a citizen question into that. It would be the first time that was changed since 1950. Now, ultimately, the Supreme Court had blocked it then, but we still saw the president try and move to kind of request citizen dataship from other agencies. But I also think what's important is that this is, of course, would be a longstanding shift in census practices. The surveys historically counted all residents regardless of immigration status. And the census website actually cites Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution on that reasoning. But I think what's really important here about all of this, Dan, of course, is the timing of it. It comes as the president is really encouraging Texas Republicans and other Republicans in red states to try and redraw congressional maps to help boost their chances in the 2026 midterms. And redistricting, of course, usually takes place after the census is done, and that happens every 10 years. The next time it's up is not till 2030. All to say, I think we still have to figure out whether or not how committed the president actually is to this. But I do think everything that's going on with them looking forward to the midterms is definitely playing a factor in this.
Is it just me, or does this new Trump census announcement feel like a pretty big deal? According to reports, President Trump's administration is preparing to conduct a nationwide census, but it won't include illegal immigrants. That's right, undocumented individuals will be excluded from the population count entirely. Now, for years, the census has been counting everyone living in the United States, regardless of their status. But now, Trump says that including illegal immigrants distorts representation, especially when it comes to congressional seats and federal funding. Now, on the flip side, critics are saying this move could undercount millions of people, especially in states with large immigrant communities, and reshape political power across the country. So what do you think about all this? Should the census only count legal residents, or does that leave out too many people who are part of our communities? Are you for this move? Are you against it? And more importantly, how could this change the way America looks on paper? I look forward to reading your comments. It's just a question. Look forward to seeing what you have to say. Appreciate you.
They include anybody that happens to be in your state.
Well, California would lose like 5 seats if they did a fair census. And even beyond that, the Biden census gypped Florida of at least 1 seat. We only got 1 seat in the last census. Are you trying to tell me that Florida only had 1 seat in that? We should have had at least 2. Texas should have had another one. That could be the difference in the House of Representatives and the majority. So I would love for them to redo the census for 26. My legislature will redistrict those lines. We'll get it to where it's fair. But as it's right now, this country is not fairly apportioned. I've got so many more millions of people in Florida that have representation because of that flawed census.
Mr. President, I think it's going to do very well. A lot of people, I don't know if you've heard about it. It's like, it's captivated the country. Everybody wants it. It's going to get in. It's going to pass. And we're going to be.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is definitely a game changer. How you doing, True Royal? What's going to happen is once it is determined that these folks are coming off of the census, there's going to be no more resource. Donald Trump, this is going to snowball into other things. These illegals are not going to be able to get resources anymore. This is where everything gets taken away to the point where they're going to just be able to just stand in the land and breathe. They're not going to be able to do anything else. This is going to take a lot of things away from them that the Democratic Party allowed. So, yes, I mean, a lot of people see it for what it is. This is definitely a game changer right here. So I'm going to keep my eye on this as it occurs. Now, you know, they may not get the results out until sometime in 2026. But he wants it apparently ahead of the midterm elections next year. So I don't think it'll be this year because that's a lot of counting they have to do, and they have to sit and weed out all of these illegals out of the US Census. And like I said, all the groups that look big now are not going to look so big when it's all said and done. So y'all, that's all I have for you right now. I do have the Bible study set up for 3:45. So I hope to see many of you then. Those of you that are not going to be there, please enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Yes. So family, Shabbat Shalom.